for education about asexuality, all things asexual. I share my asexual life journey in order to help you in yours. If you haven't already subscribed, hit that great big subscribe button right here, right now. Please hit that bell icon so you get notified of every time I go live right now, post a new video. I'm now on my iPad, as you can probably tell, streaming live tonight. So today I went on a self-date to celebrate me resigning from my day job, quitting my 9 to 5 as it were. And I also needed it for my self-care, mental health. Mental health is mental wealth, you know. And what does self-dating do? It reconnects you with your soul. It really nourishes your soul as well. Reconnects you with your being. It gives you a sense of value of yourself. It helps you to self-love more. Helps you to get your confidence back. It just helps you to feel good, you know. It's like really having a good self-care day, and particularly paying attention to being confident and loving who you are, right? And so part of this self-date day was me going out in the morning and watching a kids movie at Kids Club. Now in the UK you can go to a kids movie without having a kid. It's only like £2.49, so it's really, really good value. So if any of you are on a budget and you're like thinking, oh my god, I really want to go to the cinema but I can't afford it, like the prices are usually £6.99, £7.99 or more, then you know you can go to Kids Club. A lot of the films that come on Kids Club have actually been on the big screen at full price. Hello Liam. Hello beautiful Sandra, you're stunning. Ah, thank you. That's really sweet. Lots of love to you. So the movie I went to see today was called Moonbound. Now, I want to do a review of Moonbound. As always, if you don't like spoilers and you're going to watch the movie and you really hate spoilers, please don't watch this video because it will annoy you. But if you don't mind being told about Moonbound and you're up for it, then please listen. So Moonbound is an animation. Certificate PG, I believe. And it's a very interesting movie, right? I really did enjoy it overall, right? There is no sex in it, so it's a no sex movie. There is some kissing in it. You'll be quite interested to hear there's some kissing in it. But yes, anyway, so what happens in the beginning is there's these two children, brother and sister. And you got Pete, whose little sister lives in the same room with him. And basically their dad died and they've only got their mum that they live with. So they live with their mum and they've moved into this place, presumably that's not that as expensive as their old place, because their dad is no longer with them. And the little sister really annoys Peter, who she calls Petey. And his mum calls him Petey. And it just really annoys the hair out of both of them, right? So anyway, he lives with his sister in the same room, and basically he's into like, you know, he's into like the moon and the stars and science, all that type of thing. He's really good at maths. And the little sister, so he's more logical, and the little sister is all about using her imagination, about seeing things that he can't see. And he really gets annoyed by this because, you know, he's used to logic and everything making sense. And living in the same room as his little sister, he's just finding her really annoying. And they go to school together. Now, the thing I really loved about his little sister is she's a really strong, powerful female character as a child. Really, really super strong. I thought this was one of the really big strengths of Moonbound. So, you know, like stereotypically women in gender roles are usually seen as weak. Somehow his little sister, was actually the stronger one than him in the beginning of the movie, right? She had a vivid imagination. She saw things that he didn't. She was really creative, but she wasn't afraid to stick up for what she believed in. And she was so super strong throughout the whole entire movie. She was really super strong. And I thought this is so good for female kids, you know, to understand that just because you're female doesn't mean to say you can't be the stronger of the genders or sexes, right? Because there's kind of really still bad stereotypes, whereas guys have got to be the more dominant, in control ones, and, you know, they can't really be emotional. And this is really, really old, damaging stereotypes that should be broken through, you know? because we're living in the 21st century, people. Do you know what I mean? If we're still playing by those stupid rules, it's ridiculous, right? Guys are emotional too. Guys have feelings too. And them suppressing and repressing their emotions and feelings and feeling like they have to be the big man is actually a cause of a lot of relationship issues and problems. Because guys are hiding their true, authentic self. You know, they're hiding from their partners. They're hiding it from themselves a lot of the time. And, you know, and in order to have a successful relationship, you really need to be understanding each other on a deep, fundamental, emotional level. So here you've got in this movie, you've got the older brother, Peter, she calls Petey, and his little sister. And he's like the more logical one, but he's really into like space and the moon and the solar system and stars, all that type of thing. And she's kind of like the more fantasy one, or so he thinks. So they go to their first day in the new school together. And he's met with some bullies, but he doesn't stick up for to the bullies. His little sister comes in and sticks up for him. But he sees that as a bad thing. And it's like, oh, what are you doing? You're showing me up. You know, you shouldn't be showing me up. And what happens is they've got this weird bit of animation in the beginning, which I really didn't like. So anyway, he tells his sister basically he doesn't want anything more to do with her because she's irritating, right? But just before that happens with the bullies, they have a dare for her brother, which is this lady, it's a male ladybug, basically. So, you know, like a ladybird, but it's a bug, but it's a male version, basically. Actually, is it a ladybug? Oh, there's ladybugs in there, but it might be a different type of bug. Is it a grasshopper? I can't remember. Anyway, it's a bug. So anyway, it's a bug, and in this with this bug, it's it had this weird stuff going on in the beginning. So you've got this kind of like, basically the bully dares her brother to basically catapult, you know, like a stone at this jar with this bug in and kill it. But before this bit in the film, there's some really weird animation which I didn't think fitted into it. And basically, so a lot of the film's really well animated, apart from there's like this good type of like fairy godmother type person. And she came across as a bit like wishy-washy. You know, I thought she wasn't. I know it's really weird because even though it's an animation, I thought it wasn't very good acting in the animation. It's really weird. Like there's like a witch type person. There's like a fairy godmother, and this good fairy she thinks she's meant to be. This good fairy just wasn't really very good in the beginning because she came down and this bug, she took the guy's male bug's arm off, took his wife to the moon basically, and took his arm up there in the birch tree. That's basically, it was really, really weird, and I didn't totally understand that part of the film. And it was old-fashioned animation. It was like someone had just drawn it out on a piece of paper animation. You know, like the old Mickey Mouse stuff that came out years ago, just really handwritten, drawn animation. That came in like shortly in the beginning of the movie. And it was to tell the story of how this supposed to be good fairy then banished this bug's female wife up to the moon and that. So I got really confused about this. I knew it'd be central to the plot, but it's just really bad animation as well. It just looks like someone had done pencil drawings and they hadn't finished off the animation properly. It looked like the early stage of the animation. I thought that was one of the things that really spoilt the film for me in the beginning. I'm thinking like, how is this relevant to the rest of the movie? You're going off on a major tangent and I don't know what's happening. And plus, the animation compared to the other stuff in the film, like you got like modern day animation, and this animation was just so old fashioned and horrible. It just looked like someone had just like drawn it, like the initial sketches of a movie animation. So I didn't like that very much. But anyway, throughout the whole of the film, after this bug, it wants to get his wife back and get his arm back and get his birch tree that's gone on the moon. I didn't totally understand it, but apparently it's based on a kid's book, a German book from the early 1915 or something? Really early on, it's based on German book. So anyway, what happens is the sister said to the brother when they were going to their first day of school that there's a not a ladybug, a bug, and it talks. And he's like, don't be ridiculous, bugs can't talk. And then he goes, I don't want anything more to do, and then off he goes. And the bug has been enlisted to get some humans, a couple of humans, to go up to the moon and get his arm back. And I don't even understand what the birch tree was to do with, really. And get his wife back. It's really, really weird. It's a bit bonkers. And so anyway, but once he actually like the bug enlists the little sister to go to take him to the moon, because the older brother doesn't want to know. The older brother realizes that the little sister's gone out the window and is actually going to be going up to the moon, and he's like, it's impossible. So she jumps in this water and he thinks she's going to drown, and she actually gets beamed up to the moon. Well, not exactly the moon. She lands on another type of planet. And then he decides to follow her. And so then begins an adventure into space when they're on they're on this different planet. And there's a something called the Sandman that ends up going on the journey with them as well. So you got the bug and then Mr. Sandman. And then you've got weird stuff happening in space. It's kind of like very confusing for me to describe to you. But basically, they go and have an adventure where they have to get to the moon. And he wants to get his little sister back because he's responsible for her. And he feels really bad that he was told her to go away before and said, I don't want anything more to do with you. So the whole point of them being the whole point of them being in space is he's looking for his little sister who is going to go to the moon to retrieve the bug's arm and birch tree and wife that the good fairy took off them years ago, which I'm like, why is she even a good fairy? She's doing that. I really didn't get that part of the film. I thought it was a bit weird film. And so the adventure begins in space where they have to go through all these kind of like trials where they've got poodle. They've got this bad guy after them called the Moon Man. So the Moon Man is basically trying to stop them going to the moon, and he's got these poodles that are like savage poodles trying to come after his little sister. And the brother is with Mr. Sandman, who keeps falling asleep at the wheel of where they need, to get to the moon. He's got this like sleigh that goes through the air, and Mr. Sandman keeps falling asleep, and then the bug keeps playing dead. So it's left to the older brother to be brave when the other older brother wasn't brave in the first place. But he's having to conquer his fears, be courageous to get his sister back. And he realises that his sister isn't cuckoo like he thought she was, because he realises that all the things she kind of he thought she was fantasizing about and creating her imagination is actually reality, because they're both going through this adventure together. And so that was quite good. I liked the strength of character in the female always throughout the whole movie. She was really good. And she met these like stars, like twin stars up there, which went to like a school for twinkling and stuff like this. It's really weird. And Mr. Sandman's supposed to be a teacher there. And then they have these like kind of like games in the air, and that it's like races to win a place to speak to the good fairy, but they lose, and so they can't just speak to her, and they've got to go through all these kind of weird people to get to her, to request to help them get to the moon. It's very strange. And then, like I said, when they're at the moon, they've got these twinkly stars with a school for how to twinkle or something. It's very strange. I can't describe it very well, other than the fact that he goes to the moon looking for his sister, and the sister has gone in pursuit of the bug's wife, the hand that was torn, the hand and arm that was torn off, and the birch tree that the good fairy took. I mean, it just doesn't make sense when I describe it like that, does it? But they have this amazing adventure in space, and it's quite good. It's got a lot of different elements of it. It's got like a chase scene. It's got robots up there. It's got like I said, vicious poodles up there. It's got twinkly stars up there. It's got this kind of like Disneyland style school up there. It's kind of like a real fantasy adventure thing. That's the only way I can describe it. And the brother has to go through all these trials and tribulations in order to get his sister back. So it's very much a film based on like the fact that, things aren't always what you think they're like. you know, fantasy and imagination can actually be reality, and you should take it seriously. And also it's about appreciating what you do have. Like, he didn't appreciate his sister sticking up for him. He didn't appreciate her courage doing that. He didn't appreciate who she was as a person. He didn't appreciate her imagination. He took her for granted. He didn't appreciate her. He showed no love and compassion. And then throughout the movie, he changes to really love his sister, really care about his sister, want to save his sister, and not give up. You know, whatever happens, he just doesn't give up until he gets his sister back and actually realises that he's sorry that he treated her so badly. So I think from an asexual point of view, there's a lot of kind of familiar love, like family type bonding love going on in the movie. And so I think a lot of aromantic asexuals would like it. There is, like I said, the Bug's trying to get his wife back, and in the end, this is a spoiler, he does get his wife back and they do kiss. So they're very old by that time. But I mean, I thought it was very, very sweet, actually. I thought, oh, it's so cute. But, you know, so there is a little bit of romance and kissing in there, which aromantics, those who lack romantic attraction, sexual attraction, might not appreciate. But I think overall, the kind of brotherly, sisterly love, I think, and like, you know, I think they'll be able to relate to it. You know, if you're aromantic asexual, you'll be able to relate to it. It's great because obviously there's no sex in this movie. It's a very good kind of fantasy adventure style movie that's a little bit bonkers, I have to say. It was parts of it I just didn't understand really so much, like that. I didn't understand how the good fairy is not actually good, but she's meant to be good, and the acting was so bad even though she's an animation. It's just so weird. But it looks like there was an Indian guy in it, which was even more strange. I'm like, oh my god, they've even got an Indian guy in an animation. Also, this guy had a turban on. I think he was a Sikh, and I think he was Indian. He looked Indian. So I'm like, oh my god, there's an Indian animation. There's an Indian guy in the animation. I get attracted to Indian guys. I thought it was quite funny. But yeah, it's like I said, it's based on a German story from years ago called Moonbound, you know? And it's like the adventures they have up there are quite fun and interesting, you know? I think you really have to just watch it to understand it. And probably you won't even totally understand all of it when you watch it. But it's one of those films you just have to watch to understand they have all these adventures in outer space, basically. And it's kind of like a real, like, kind of Disney style type of movie in some parts. And then you've got kind of like these baddies and these goodies, and the good overcomes the evil as usual. And, you know, and he gets his sister back and he doesn't take her for granted anymore, and everything's happy and good and jolly in the end, you know. So I do think that, you know, you would like the film. I did like the film. I did think it was a good film overall. Like I said, there's some part of the animation was just a bit rubbish, but overall I did think the film was good. I thought it was worth £2.49. I wouldn't have recommended paying full price for it, to be honest. I think it is a bit of a kind of bonkers film in some ways. That's just like, you know, you've really got to take it as it is, which is fantasy fiction, using your imagination, kind of really interesting things that go on in outer space, and the kind of camaraderie, eventually the kind of familiar love that comes out of it, and conquering your fears, and obviously like having strong female character I thought was incredible. So I did really love the strong female characters. I think you've just got to watch it for yourself, and I really liked it. I mean, I went on a self date for 4 parts today. I went to see the movie, then I went to Nando's to eat a meal, then I went and bought myself a drink and nuts to celebrate me quitting my day job, and then I also had a walk at the quayside. So I had a beautiful day self-dating, and highly recommend it if you don't do it already. And yeah, I was with a gorgeous girl all day myself. I'm the only girl that I find an attraction to is myself. I don't think any other girls are attractive because I'm not attracted to women. Right, I'm attracted to guys, but yeah, I think I'm an attractive person. Anyway, on that note, I'm going to love you and leave you. So yes, go and watch it, but don't spend the full price on it. That's my message to you. Anyway, I'm going to love you and leave you for now. I hope you've enjoyed this video. It might have been a little bit confusing, but the film was a bit confusing. And I'll see you on the next video live stream. Take care. Lots of love. Bye-bye. Take care of you. Bye.